I'm Andrew Price.
And I'm Mike Bedard.
Welcome to Deep Cuts, the podcast where we pick a topic and walk you through the ins, the outs, and the nitty-gritty so you can appear like an interesting and idiosyncratic person at your next forced social function. Today's topic is...
Charles Ingram.
Who is Charles Ingram? He was a contestant on the British version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, who ended up winning the grand prize of £1 million. But he went home with nothing after producers caught him cheating in a major scandal that caused him and his wife to live on in British infamy, and is way more interesting than you're thinking. Act 1. Get someone a throat lozenge. Charles William Ingram was born on August 6th of 1963. His parents divorced when he was young, and he attended a private boarding school as a kid. In 1987, he trained for the British Army at the Royal Military Academy, Sandhurst, and eventually ascended the ranks to captain and then major. He married his wife Diana in 1989, and the pair ultimately had 3 children together. Charles even got his master's degree in corporate management in 2000. An educated married man with a solid military record should have set up Charles Ingram for a solid life of carefree bliss. But fate had other things in store. When Charles followed in his family footsteps to appear on ITV's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the game show where contestants must answer 15 questions in increasing difficulty to win £1 million with only 3 lifelines to help them. Charles' brother-in-law, Adrian Pollock, previously appeared on the game show, winning £32,000. His wife, Diana, also won £32,000, so now it was up to Charles to go for the gold. They were like an aristocracy of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire contestants.
They were the people who, like, when you watch that show, like, at home, and they get all the answers right, and they're like, oh, I could be on this show, I could be on a game show. And then, like, Charles is just like, yeah, me too. And it's like, he doesn't know the trivia. He can't do as well, but, like, he feels... he needs to, like, at least do as well as his brother-in-law.
Yeah, he's like the black sheep of the family. He's like sitting around the dinner table with his parents, and he's like, why can't you be a millionaire contestant like your brother?
All you did was go into the military, you fucking failure.
Your brother knows a bunch of useless trivia. Why can't you be more like him? You always use Google.
You don't know shit off the top of your head.
You didn't memorize shit.
I try to ask you who that guy was in that movie, and you have no idea. You can't even, like, make a guess. You don't know shit about actors. You don't know shit about science. What good are you, other than being a doting husband and father to 3 beautiful children? That
is odd, though, that there was 3 people in this family that went on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Because my perception of, which I'm going to ask in a second, I just want to ask about, like, your thoughts on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Did you grow up watching it or whatever? But my thoughts on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is like, you know, it's hard to get on it. It's a massive opportunity to get on a game show like that. And you have to, like, audition, and you have to prove that you're, like, can, you know, do well on camera, and you have to have, like, an established level of, like, knowledge of things. Like, I'm assuming that they vet people and they don't just let any fucking idiot on the show, because that would just be like a waste of a contestant if they got out on the first question or whatever. But, like, there was 3 people from this one family that was on the show. It almost feels like in the UK that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was like a weird, like, Nepo contestant situation. They were just, like, choosing people from some, like, top 1%, like, special cast of people.
I don't know how it works, and this was in the 2000s, so maybe that was a perk for them. Like, oh, yeah, like, your wife did really well, so let's get you on and, like, have your wife back, and she can watch you from the audience, you know, But, yeah, I grew up watching, because Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the American version, and Jeopardy were on back-to-back. I watched both of those. And then Wheel of Fortune, but I didn't really care about Wheel of Fortune. I was more into the trivia. And this episode, like, kind of speaks to me, I mean, to your point of, like, how rigorous the process was. I actually did apply to be on The Weakest Link a few years ago, the new rebooted version with, like, Jane Lynch as the host.
Where she's, like, doing an impression of the original host?
Of the mean British lady, yeah. You can tell her heart isn't in the meanness, but, like, she's trying to do it, like, roast you.
It's so funny to me because, like, I mean, the original lady, that could also be a character, but... aside from, you know, the way that all, you know, celebrity and television is basically fake, within that spectrum, she was, like, authentically like that. Even if that was, like, a character she created, it was a character that she, like, embodied and lived as in the public. But Jane Lynch is just, like, an actress who is just playing that character.
Playing a mean lady.
But you know from just interviews and stuff like that she's not actually like that at all.
Well, it's her being, Sue Sylvester, because she was a mean lady on Glee. So it's Sue Sylvester as the host, basically.
Yeah.
But it was a rigorous process because I sent in an application, which was like long resume and like a 2-minute video. And I got an interview at first. And then I had to do an oral trivia quiz. So I guess so they could see how fast I was on my feet answering questions. And then I had a second interview with one of the producers on the show. And then at that point, they ghosted me. So I didn't get on the show, but it was
the final round is you have to shoot a shame porn video with Jane Lynch where she just yells at you. If you can make it through the entire 30-minute video, you're on the show.
It's the humiliation ritual you need to get on any TV show, game show or otherwise.
Yeah. They didn't even just say like, oh, sorry, but you didn't make it. They just left you in the fucking ether.
It's the perennial millennial problem where you go on 6 interviews for a job and then you never hear back. I would just be curious to know why. I mean, it could be anything. I don't know. There can only be so many contestants, and it's just like, this guy's he's smart. He got most of the questions right, but
he's a bitch.
I got bitch vibes.
That guy's a bitch. Jane Lynch watched your audition, or she was like watching your Zoom meeting from like a secret window or whatever, and she was just like, that guy's a bitch. Why'd you bring me this bitch?
I feel like they'd want bitches on the show though, so she could make fun of them.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I was too much of a Chad, maybe, where they were like, this guy's like, he has no apparent foibles to like make fun of. He's just kind of. He's smart, I guess, enough to know a lot of trivia. He looks fine. Yeah,
you're right. If it was hinging on you being a bitch, you would have definitely gotten on the show.
Yeah, because they want bitches.
Yeah.
On The Weakest Link.
Yeah. Well, we've known a couple people that have been on like game shows.
Well, we have a mutual friend who was on the American Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yeah.
He won $250,000, I believe.
Yeah.
He got pretty high up there.
And also, we don't really know this guy, but from back in Bakersfield, I don't know what he's doing now. He could be dead for all I know, but the guy who used to be like one of the main DJs on Crab, Meathead, he was on Weakest Link.
Oh.
Back in like the early 2000s.
See, Meathead's a bitch.
Yeah. He got on. They're like, this guy is definitely a bitch. Yeah, I never cared that much for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, or really like game shows in general. Like I never was like a Jeopardy watcher or whatever. But my family did watch it, I think, as like most anybody did in the early 2000s. My only thoughts about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the only thing I ever thought about it was that sound that plays whenever they're in the middle of a game and the show is ending is like way too apocalyptic. The sound whenever like they're in the middle of a game or whatever you call them.
Oh, like the ticking sound?
No, it's I'm gonna play it. It's a sound whenever the show runs long and they're in the middle of one of the things, and then it goes like, wrong! Like it sounds like the fucking trumpets of hell. I'm gonna find it and play it because that sound is terrifying. That's way too scary.
They keep you on your toes.
The level of scary that sound does not match the stakes of it. It's like, okay, this game show's over. You got to come back next week. But it's just like, fucking Satan is here. You're all going to hell.
What is it called when a plant uses the sun's energy to make food for itself? Tomato.
See, you should have been on fucking Weakest Link. You off the top of the dome.
You fucked up, Weakest Link producers.
I can't think of a single piece of trivia. The sky is blue because I don't fucking know. God.
It's like has something to do with the ocean.
Yeah. They messed up. On September 9th, 2001. Uh-oh.
Oh, God. He's like, thank God something else happened where no one's paying attention to my cheating scandal.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here. We're skipping ahead, but cut to like later on in the story, and they're just like, Charles Ingram, on this day, September 9th of 2001, you have done the worst thing that is going to happen for years. Nothing that could happen in the foreseeable future will match the severity of what you have just done when you cheated on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
That was America. They were paying attention to this.
Yeah. September 9th, 2001, Charles Ingram became the newest contestant on the show. He sat across from the series host, Chris Tarrant, or is it Tarrant? I don't know, and got to work. The first 5 questions are all pretty easy, and Charles soars through, but not without a little red flag going off. Diana was obviously there to cheer on her husband, and she was accompanied by her other brother, Marcus. The show's staff frequently saw Marcus going out of the audience directly outside the studio to get on his cell phone, which of course wasn't allowed that close to the studio. It's believed that Charles Ingram had 4 pagers taped to his body, with a certain one buzzing corresponding with a given answer, triggered by Marcus's phone calls. Security quickly grew wary of Marcus always getting up, and eventually he stopped leaving the studio. This was after Charles soared through the first 5 questions, which again are supposed to be gimmies. On the 6th question for £2,000, Charles suddenly got very nervous and struggled with what shouldn't have been a hard question, at least if you're from the United Kingdom. Oh, and by the way, before we even go on, this is our boy Charles. This is Charles Ingram. And the thing is that Charles Ingram looks like an upstanding British gentleman.
Charles Ingram looks like if you walked up to him like during a barbecue, he wouldn't really have any fun facts to tell you. Like,
oh yeah,
he looks.
He's never listened to deep cuts in his entire life.
No, this is a pure like talk about the weather guy.
Yeah, he only talks about the weather.
It's whatever's immediately in front of him.
Yeah, you walk up to him and you're like, yeah, I mean, I really, this stuff with Trump going on, it's just so crazy. And he's like, the precipitation, it'll be 36 Celsius. And then he just explodes.
So Charles, have you seen any good movies lately? I just sit in my chair and I just look out the window. I just want to know what's going on directly ahead of me.
Charles Ingram looks like he wakes up every morning and goes out to his wife and goes, "Oh, what's for yummy yummies, dear?"
You know this guy gets down on some beans.
He bathes in mushy peas every night. He takes a mushy pea bath.
I mean, I think this says it all. Charles Ingram looks like he takes baths.
Yes, in a clawfoot bathtub.
Yeah. He's never had a shower in his life.
Yeah,
baths.
And it's like he lives in like a normal kind of pretty modest apartment, and then for no reason there's just this really elegant clawfoot bathtub in his bathroom, and his wife is just like, "Charles, like, do we really need this?" Like, it's kind of embarrassing. Like, people go to the bathroom and they see this, and he's like, "This was passed down from my great-grandfather. It is where he took his bathy times, and it's where my father took his bathy times, and God damn it, Diana, this is where I'm going to take my bathy times."
Wow, that's really interesting. Charles, can you tell me more about your grandfather? Oh!
The precipitation! All that. Now we're going to hear him fuck up being a British guy after trying to make him out to be the most British person ever.
Have a look at number 6. It's worth £2,000. I bet you know this one. In Coronation Street. I bet you don't. When have you last seen Coronation Street?
I've never watched it. I mean, I've seen it sort of in the
Charles,
telly
it's been
in
on for
passing.
40 years.
I know. Sorry.
Okay, no, have a look at it. Have a look at it. Work out what you want to do. In Coronation Street, who is Audrey's daughter? Janice, Gail, Linda, Sally.
I really haven't got a Scoobies.
Now, you've got the audience. You can ask the audience. You can phone a friend. You can go 50-50.
I'm not sure.
50-50, probably if you've got 2 left and you've still never heard of either of them.
That's Diana, I'm assuming.
Much use.
Yeah, that's his wife.
You've got to phone a friend. You can ask the audience.
Yeah, Chris, I'd like to ask the audience.
Okay, audience, let's see if you're up on your soaps. We had Coronation Street here only a couple of weeks ago, who raised well over £100,000 for charity. Let's see if you know all about them. In Coronation Street, this is the question. In Coronation Street, who is Audrey's daughter? Now, A on your keypad is Janice, B is Gail, C is Linda, D is Sally. A, B, C, or D. All vote now.
He's using a lifeline far too early in the game.
It's just like so blatantly the right answer.
89% saying go, 3% Linda, 4% Sally, 4% Janice. It's quite high, it's very high, but it's your call.
It's a tricky one.
Embarrassing if it was wrong.
God, it would, yeah. But it wouldn't be my fault at home and work, so I'll go for, I'll follow the audience.
He didn't remember what the ask audience answer was?
Okay,
Not a great memory.
89% of them said go.
And I'll run with Gail, yeah.
Even though you never heard of her?
Never heard of her.
Or seen her?
No, afraid
What
not.
was she
Sorry,
like?
Gail, but I haven't.
Okay, final
I'll
answer.
go with Gail, yeah.
We got there, £2,000.
And the next question's
So he's
also
just like
a
a
struggle.
fucking idiot. He's the George W. Bush of this Who Wants to Be a Millionaire family. They're all in their own right, sort of like politically cunning. And then George W. Bush was just like, I'm just at college doing cocaine. What? You want me to be a president? Okay, sure.
That was the equivalent of like on the American Millionaire, if they were like, what was the name of Jennifer Aniston's character in Friends? Where like, even if you don't watch the show, you should be aware of that if you are even the mildest pop culturally literate.
Yeah. You know those people who they make like not knowing about like popular things like their personality?
Oh yeah.
Where,
You think
like,
that's him?
No, I don't think. I think he's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
But you know how there's those people who are like, they won't just like not know something, but they'll be like, oh, it's like that thing on Friends or whatever, and they'll be like, I don't watch Friends, I don't know. And it's just like, okay, like, I don't care. Like, you're cool for not knowing something. Woo! I want to see one of those types of people go on to Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. And just like the cognitive dissonance of like, I could win $1 million if I just answer this stupid question, but my whole personality is about how I've never watched Friends and I don't care about Britney Spears and Sabrina Carpenter or whatever, and then just watch them like glitch out because they're just like, must perform aloofness.
Oh, looks like someone has listened to Short and Sweet. You listen to Please, Please, Please all the time, motherfucker. Don't try to act like you only listen to these obscure indie bands.
Yeah. That is just like a very British sounding question, though. In Coronation Street, who is Audrey's daughter? I don't know what the fuck the answer is either.
I don't know what that is.
That sounds made up to me. But Charles Ingram, he didn't.
He should have known.
Yeah,
That's the
he
thing.
should have known.
Literally everyone else, you can't see the video because it's a podcast, but like literally it's just B was like 99%.
Yeah, it was like you said, I'm assuming it's the equivalent of what is Jennifer Aniston's character's name in Friends, because it was just like a given to everybody in the audience. He didn't fare much better on question 7 for £4,000. He phoned a friend on the question, the River Foyle is found in which part of the UK? His friend Gerald correctly told him Northern Ireland, and he got a little further, but at this point, the episode ended, and they did that terrifying, satanic trumpet sound.
Maybe that's why he was so nervous. He knew it was coming. He was just
He was just like, that's me. That would be me. Because the thing is, it's like, back in the day, we used to go to Universal Studios all the time because we lived in North Hollywood right near Universal Studios, and we would go there, we would get tickets, and we'd go together and with friends and stuff like that. And I'm going to be honest, like, we always rode the Jurassic Park ride, but like, I hate riding the Jurassic Park ride. There's something about that drop that just gives me anxiety. And it's not even the drop. It's just the anticipation of it. I'm like white knuckling it the whole time. And then when you do the drop, it's not actually that bad.
No, yeah.
But it's like, for me, I just get so much anxiety of the build up to the drop that eventually, like one time years ago, I went with my wife. And, this is after we had lived here for a number of years, and we'd gone to Universal Studios probably like 6 or 7 times or something, maybe even more. And I always ride it because, I'm not going to be a fucking pussy. I'm not going to be like, guys, I don't want to do it. Yeah, but I was with my wife. We were going to go on the Jurassic Park ride, and I was like sweating. I was like holding on to the rail as we were waiting in line, and she was like, are you okay? And I was just like, I really don't want to ride this. And she was like, we don't have to ride it. And I've never ridden it since. My main point being, that's how I would be on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I'd get out in the first 2 questions because I would just be sitting there like, when's that fucking sound?
They just asked the first question.
How far are we from the end of the episode? I'd be counting the minutes and just trying to anticipate when it was going to happen.
They just asked the first question, and you're like, I don't know, fucking A. Great, I'm out of here. Just leave. I didn't want to do this.
I hate the trumpets. Charles ended the episode looking at the ceiling and saying, God, no. With 2 lifelines gone for the first 7 questions, the easiest ones of the lot, it was looking like Charles wasn't meant for greater things on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But he was about to get a big boost from Tequin Whittock, a contestant waiting in the wings to potentially play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire proper. The British game show utilizes a preliminary game called Fastest Finger First, where a selection of contestants sit on the main stage, and whoever answers a single multiple choice question first gets to play the game next. Tequin was sitting off in this challenge in case Charles lost, but he would have a far more nefarious role to play going forward. Charles returned for the next episode on September 10th, 2001.
Oh, God.
He tries to put on a more confident, assertive persona, but there was something else in his arsenal. Here's the thing. I've known about this story for years. It's just one of those things where there's like a video of him doing this that has floated around, and I've seen it a bunch of times. And Dave and I have made a reaction video to the clip where we used to make reaction videos where we would watch a video and one of us would explain to the other one what was happening or whatever, and we would kind of like give backstory on it. So I've known about this story for years. I had no idea that it took place the day before 9/11. I had no clue.
It was a simpler time. Just everything was chugging along elsewhere in the world.
This entire thing happened the day before 9/11.
There's an alternate reality where September 11th happens, the terror attacks don't happen, and just that week everyone is talking about Charles Ingram and Jay-Z's CD.
You hear that new Blue album? That shit's fire. Also, Charles Ingram is the new Hitler. Here's the first question of the night for 8,000 pounds.
Who was the second husband of Jacqueline Kennedy? Who was the second husband of Jacqueline Kennedy?
He kind of
Adnan Khashoggi.
Kind of sounded a little bit like Woodrow Wilson when he says, "Who's the second husband of Jacqueline Kennedy?"
Jacqueline Kennedy.
What's his name? What's the fucking host? Something Tarrant or whatever. He was so like stressed out by how stupid Charles Ingram was on the first episode that he just like got drunk before recording this.
God, I can't wait until this Charles Ingram guy is out of here, and then I can just like relax. I can just read the news and not feel constant anxiety.
Rupert Murdoch.
I would have thought that it would be Aristotle Onassis.
Why?
Well, Ronald Reagan, I mean, I'm pretty confident it's Aristotle Onassis.
Still very happy with the strategy?
No, but it's too late, so...
It's the right answer! You got 8,000.
Got it, baby. I'm assuming that we get to this in the script, but do you want to talk about a little bit about what just happened, or do we want to let that play out in the script?
We'll get to it right now, actually.
Okay. Despite seeming not that confident in Aristotle Onassis as the correct answer, he pushed on and got it right. And anytime he says the name, you can hear coughing. At the eventual trial, it was concluded that Tequin Whittock, sitting off to the side, coughed whenever Charles Ingram said the correct answer out loud to indicate it was the right one. So going back, and maybe you want to rewind it and listen to it again, or maybe you noticed it the first time around, but as he's talking through that question, you can just hear somebody who just like coincidentally, it gets deadly quiet in the room as it does in the show. And then he's like, I think it's Aristotle Onassis. Yeah, I kind of thought maybe it was Ronald Reagan. Silence. But I'm pretty sure it's Aristotle Onassis. That you can hear like a cough happen every time he says, I think it's this.
Yeah, so that was kind of the plan. And we kind of like glossed over it, but allegedly the first attempt to cheat his way, like he taped pagers to himself.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to stop and talk about that because that's actually the funniest part to me is the first time he has pagers taped to different regions of his body. So it's like his left leg means A, his right leg means B. I'm assuming the one in his butthole means C.
They put just some anal beads in there and they had the vibrator app.
Yeah. Honestly, that's probably what they would do nowadays, but back then they had to work with fucking pagers.
I mean, there is an episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, which, come to think of it, it might have been inspired by this, where like Frank Reynolds is in a chess tournament and they put anal beads up him, and then when he like picks up a piece and like he's trying to figure out where to put it, and they buzz wherever he should put it. So I almost wonder if this story like influenced that story. I don't think I've heard them talk about it, but
that's why the chess champion, whenever he lost that match recently in the championship, he got pissed off and he just like smashed his hand on the chessboard and then like walked away and went, oh my God. It wasn't because he was mad that he lost. It was because he came.
He was like, and he accidentally like set it down. He's like, no, I didn't mean to set it down. That's chess rules, baby.
But yeah, so he's got these pagers taped to different regions of his body, and his brother-in-law,
he was in the audience too, but he would like step out and like ring whatever pager correlated to the correct answer, and then I guess go back in and then go back out again, and eventually someone was like, you gotta like stop. Like,
yeah.
You need to just sit down or leave. And I guess that was, the jig was up, and that was when the final two questions where he struggled significantly over very easy questions, he didn't have any help. I guess he used his lifelines for those.
Yeah.
And so they were like, we can't use the pagers.
This
do that.
This is a terrible plan. it seems kind of genius on the surface, but obviously at some point they're going to be like, hey, you got to stop like walking in and out of the theater. Even if not out of suspicion, just like we're taping a show.
Yeah.
Like you can't
The
keep
red
doing
light
this.
is on. You can't keep opening the door.
Yeah.
We're going to pick that up.
He got through the 16,000 pound question, but then came the 32,000 pound mark where both his wife and brother-in-law got to. He used the 50-50 on the question, who had a hit UK album with Born to Do It released in 2000, narrowing down his choices to A1 or Craig David. But this time, rather than Tequin helping him out, his wife suddenly came down with a sore throat. We have listeners who live in the UK, so chime in, like post in the Facebook group, post in the Discord, email me or whatever. But I really wish I had a much more thorough knowledge of British pop culture, because to me it sounds like he's a fucking idiot. It sounds like he just doesn't know anything.
Yeah,
like, but also I don't fully know like how hard these questions are, but like they don't sound particularly difficult.
Yeah, I don't have as much knowledge either. I mean, the TV one, it seems like it was easy since he asked the audience. This one, he's asking about an album that came out in 2000, in 2001, which seems like if you have any baseline knowledge of pop culture, you should know. But I don't know how well known
but it's like
A1 and Craig David are.
But it's but it's also, it's like the format of the question doesn't sound hard. It's not like, what year did the hit album Born to Do It come out or whatever. It's just like, who had a UK hit album called Born to Do It in 2000, which to me sounds like the equivalent of somebody being like, who had a hit album in 2011 called Born This Way, which is just like obviously Lady Gaga. Like, yeah. I'm not even a Lady Gaga fan, but I just know that because it was like a huge thing. I don't even need to know the year. I just know that that's the name of the album. So to me, that sounds like that's what the tenor of the question is. But I'd be curious to know from somebody who is more familiar how hard these questions actually were. Because to me, it sounds like he just is a fucking idiot.
And I think he is, because you have Tequin and now his wife, who are both like in the trivia game show circuit, I guess. They run in the same game show circles and are probably pretty knowledgeable themselves. And clearly no, because it's not like they're in the audience and Tequin's off to the side. They don't have computers. So they must obviously know these. These must be like somewhat knowable questions.
I was thinking that maybe he was like checking the questions, but now that you mention it, there probably wasn't enough time to do that. So he was just telling him the answers based on his own knowledge.
Yeah. I mean, Tequin should have been in this round. He would have won.
Yeah, so he actually knew what he was talking about and like was smart, or at least knew a lot of trivia or whatever. But they just were stuck with this fucking moron.
You need a dumb bitch to convince to like, hey, you're gonna go on this game show.
Yeah, see,
we're gonna tape pagers.
See, that's the distinction. These game shows, they want bitches.
Yeah.
But not dumb bitches.
No.
A1 or Craig David.
It actually just showed her. Wow. So in the other footage that we saw, he's asking the question and you can just hear like a distant ambient cough of somebody who is like somewhere in the audience, and it doesn't show them. But for her, she's like microphoned, like she's mic'd,
and the lights on her because
she's
and the wife.
The lights on her, and the camera cut to her, and she goes, and it's like it's way louder because she has a microphone on, and it's like so obvious that it's a fake cough.
Oh yeah, that was a wimpy cough. It should probably say it because I wrote this episode, and not to get ahead of ourselves, but they didn't air it because obviously it was scandal.
It was a sham episode.
Yeah, it was a sham episode. So this is like from a I forget, documentary or some kind of like TV special where they go into what Charles Ingram did.
Who wants to be a cheating bitch? We don't want dumb bitches. We certainly don't want cheating bitches. We just want bitches.
Just answer your questions.
Yeah. Just be a little bit of a bitch, but don't cheat.
So yeah, I feel like they can do like more camera angles within this special compared to like a normal Millionaire episode. And
that's why because they have like a live switcher who's like, working the switcher, but for this one they probably had like feeds of all these cameras and they could just look at whatever they wanted with them.
Yeah, and the coughs are they've amplified it for this special. So I feel like I mean, his wife's cough was very loud.
And very fake.
Tequin's cough, you probably couldn't hear it. They've souped it up a little bit so we can hear it.
Yeah.
But that one was probably not as noticeable if you weren't really paying attention.
But these people weren't that smart. Like, that seemed like it was from a movie. It seemed like in a comedy where someone's like trying to get somebody's attention in a comedic manner.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into it, but this is the beginning of the very dumb thing. You know, people talk about book smarts, street smarts. I mean, I feel like these people have trivia smarts, but they do not have street smarts. This lady does not know how to play this cool.
Speaking of street smarts, that is a game show that I watched. It came on after The Simpsons. The Simpsons came on at 9 p.m., and then afterwards, there would be Street Smarts, Blind Date, and Real TV with Ahmad Rashad. And I watched those shows.
I'm going to go for A1. Yep.
Final answer.
No.
Are we on the main
And also, another thing that we didn't point out is that
Yeah.
aside from the fake cough and just the overtop nature of it, his wife is also like, you fucking moron. Like,
She looks so pissed.
she's like, you dumb asshole.
I know we agreed to do the coughing thing, but I should not have to cough right now.
You are a fucking idiot. That actually paints it in a way different light, because in my mind, I'm thinking, and like I said, I've known about this story for a while, but in my mind, I always thought that it was like they were consulting like Google or something. Like they were like Googling answers and then feeding him the answers through the coughs and the pagers or whatever. But it's not that. They're just feeding him the answers that they know, like they just from their own personal knowledge. It's not just a bunch of fucking idiots who are just like Googling and cheating or whatever. It's like 2 people or 3 people who like know shit, just feeding like a fucking moron the answers. Also, A1? Who the fuck is A1? In America, that's a fucking steak sauce.
And Craig David sounds like a made-up name. That's like, those
Yeah,
are 2 weird
Craig
first
David.
names to have as a first name and a last name.
Yeah.
One of your British listeners is going to like come into the Discord and be like, how fucking dare you talk about Craig David like
An
that?
A1.
He's an institution.
A1 is a British institution.
Slight detour at the moment.
Yeah, okay. It's a lot of money to lose. You don't have to play it. You can take 16,000.
I mean, I'm 80% of the time I'm wrong.
And yet
when
somehow I
guess,
keep
so-
getting these right.
No, I'll go Craig David. Yeah.
Final answer.
I'm going to guess Craig David.
Final answer.
Final answer.
We'll take a break. Join us again in a couple of minutes for the second part of
Oh
tonight's
shit!
Who Wants to
They
Be a
don't do
Millionaire?
the fucking horns of hell in the British version.
They're more compassionate.
Yeah.
Across the pond.
The way that they end the show is much more polite. They're like, "Excuse me, I hate to interrupt the proceedings, but as it happens, we have actually run out of time, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to go. So good night, everybody, and God bless you." In America, they're like, "Brah!" Host Chris Tarrant can't believe Charles' strategy, and his sudden change of heart nets him £32,000, with Techman's coughing resuming when he goes for £64,000.
Gentlemen versus Players was an annual match between amateurs and professionals of which sport? Gentlemen versus Players was an annual match between amateurs and professionals of which sport? Lawn tennis, rugby union.
This is such
Polo.
a British question.
That is worth.
They really lean into the Britishness on British Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Sticky Wickums was an example of which choiby boyby.
£64,000.
I mean,
This guy is a fucking idiot. This guy is the dumbest person on the planet.
Listen, I don't know the answer because I'm not British. I don't care about sports. I feel like you would know something about rugby or cricket or polo.
But also, could be any one of them.
Listen, it could be any
No
of them.
shit! It is one of them! They're the possible answers!
This guy is not playing it cool at all when it comes to like trying to be like, I don't know. It could, it could be this or it could be this. It could be any of them. But, stab in the dark. I'm just going to say this one. Oh, shit, I'm right.
Welcome to a game show where we ask you a question and then give you a series of choices, the entire point of which being that it could be any one of them. Which choice are you choosing? Well, it could be any one of them.
You know what? I'm going to go with E, the hidden answer.
Not many people know that, but you can actually choose answers off the board. You can go for E. In fact, everybody who's ever lost Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it's because they didn't choose E.
But I think it's cricket.
There's a cough.
Sure.
It's so obvious. I mean, I'm like you said, they're probably raising the volume.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's coming across more ridiculous to us listening to the altered version.
And I'm sure that's the intention, yeah.
But it's so obvious that somebody is cheating, that they're feeding him answers.
Even though if they are amplifying it, I have to imagine it's pretty quiet because it's just him and he's like talking it out, and maybe they have the music that but
well, he's got to hear it, so it's obviously loud enough that he can hear it. Otherwise, what would be the point?
Yeah, but Taekwon is like closer to him than, because his wife, I imagine, really had to cough since she was in the audience, and then Taekwon is like, he's on the floor with him, but like just on, I don't know, distances. He's maybe 10 feet away. So maybe he could be a little slyer about it and be like, like, I don't know, like just, it's amazing it took them as long to be like, who the fuck is coughing?
It's just the same two people over and over again, and one of them is his wife.
A picture, a print on either cigarette cards or the old cigarette cards you used to get, or my, I don't know, grandfather's study wall or something.
He's just like vamping. He's just like rambling, just trying to like pretend like he's trying to figure it out. And the host is just like humoring him at that point because they're not having like delightful banter like is normal on this show. He's just like, whatever you say, bro. Like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Just choose an answer.
Yeah, Charles Ingram is like, he's a Slumdog Millionairing it, where he's just like, you know, my grandfather showed me cards. And it's just like he's trying to tie it to events in his life to explain why this guy, who seems kind of dumb, would know the
happens to know the answers to these things.
My grandfather showed me.
Even though in all other contexts, he seems like he has never learned a fact.
But I'm not sure.
And that was a cricket. They were playing cricket.
I think so.
Lawn tennis, rugby union, polo, cricket.
I think it might be cricket.
It's worth 64,000. You might as well play it.
Indeed.
Take your time. Have a good look.
It could be lawn tennis.
He's literally just, I mean, it's so fucking ridiculous. He's literally just going like, well, it could be lawn tennis. But then again, it could be rugby union. But on the other hand, it very well could be polo.
Because as I have expressed, it could be any of them.
Or, you know, at the end of the day, it could always be cricket? I think it might be cricket. It's the dumbest scheme anybody has ever pulled.
It's just, he's doing your bit.
I'm doing this again, sorry. Polo. I don't think it would have been polo.
Gentlemen versus players. Annual match between amateurs and professionals of which sport? Lawn tennis.
I think it's least likely to be rugby union. I would have thought.
Rugby union.
So obvious.
I don't think it's rugby union. I don't think it's lawn tennis. Polo. No, I just don't recall any connection, but I've heard of it definitely, but I don't know any connection with
I think there was like a real cough just now.
Yeah.
I think if I
He's like,
had
fuck.
to guess,
Like,
I
oh, no.
think
Count on
I'd take cricket. Oh, God. No, it's not fair on everyone else. I'll go for cricket.
It doesn't matter about everybody else. They'll play anyway. Don't worry. Gonna play? Final answer.
Cricket, final answer.
You got £32,000. Your wife came and she won £32,000. You just won 60.
He's like, somehow, for reasons I cannot begin to understand, you got it right.
You do bring up a good point, though, because their plan, hinges on the fact that no one else had a cold in that audience. That is like,
because there was definitely somebody, he said polo, and there was a real cough from somebody else. Real, and he's like, oh, fuck. Was that my wife's cough?
Just got to triangulate where they are. The cough came from over there. Okay, no, that's...
Yeah, that's like an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where he goes to see Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and like there's a whole build-up where Cheryl's like, you shouldn't be going out into an audience like that. You have a cold, and he's like, I've had these tickets for months. I'm not skipping out on this. And then he goes to the place, and then he finds out that somebody's trying to like cheat, but then he just ruins the entire thing because he keeps coughing and giving him the wrong answer. Charles keeps playing, seemingly getting aid from some well-placed coughing. But perhaps the most egregious use of this technique came when he was going for 500,000 pounds. I can't wait to see where they get to at the 500,000 pound mark when the stakes are high.
The host is just like, how the fuck did this guy get to 500,000 pounds?
My question is, because, we're doing it right now. We're on, camera and on a microphone, like talking, performing in a way. To a certain degree, you tune out things. We're not paying attention to the fact that there's like lights blaring on us, and I can hear, now that I'm thinking about it, I can hear a siren outside, but like I've kind of tuned that out. And like we've performed tons of like sketch comedy and theater on stage, so when you're in that mode, you kind of like, your brain just filters out everything except for like the specific thing that you're focusing on. And for like that moment, you just don't even know that you're standing on a stage and there's a bunch of people watching you or whatever. You're just like focused in on the conversation that you're having or like the line that you're going to say next or whatever. I wonder if this host, which I keep forgetting his name, it's something Tarrant. I wonder at any point in this if he starts to become suspicious, or if he's just like in host mode and he's just oblivious to the signs that something fishy's going on, or if he's like at this point being like, something weird's happening, but like he's hosting, so he can't like break character, because if he's wrong, that would be really awkward.
Yeah, and you have to imagine probably throughout his run in the show, people cough and sneeze and whatever, they creak in their chairs. Like, there's probably all kinds of sounds, but it really feels like with this particular episode, he should have been like, there's a lot of coughing.
Yeah, what the fuck is going on right now?
Baron Haussmann is best known for his planning of which city? Rome, Paris, Berlin.
Now this sounds like an actual hard question. Like, I mean, because I don't know this. And this isn't something only British people would know. This is something, I don't really have any particular interest in like architects. I know Frank Lloyd Wright, and that's about it. So this is a hard question.
And I bet the host is like, all right, this is gonna get him.
Yeah.
I don't know how he got this far, but
this bitch is going down.
I think.
Charles, 10 minutes ago you thought it was A1.
I think it's Berlin.
Take your time. It's worth 500,000. It's a huge amount of money to win. It's also a huge amount of money to drop.
And Haussmann's it's more a German name than an Italian name, and Parisian name and Athens name. And you would have thought if somebody is best known for something, it's sort of likely to be at home. I'm really not sure.
I'm never sure, and yet
never sure.
I'm right every single time.
If I was at home, I'd be saying Berlin. If I was watching this on TV.
It's worth £500,000.
It's like, it's the fishiest thing ever, because he used all of his lifelines
super early
in the beginning and then guesses every answer.
Genuinely, because that's what he plays it off as, is like, I don't know, but what the hell, I'll just go for this one. And I'm right. Oh,
that can't work for all the questions. Just statistically, you cannot guess every question and get them all right.
Especially for something like this, where it's like, I don't fucking know what this is.
Yeah.
Like, I'd walk away at this point. He probably should have as well.
Yeah.
15,000 if you're wrong. You've got $250,000. It's your call. Take as long as you need.
I think it's Berlin.
I think it's Berlin. Oh my god, he wasn't just coughing. He's like, no.
I think it's Berlin.
This is like a movie with like Zach Galifianakis. This is like a fucking Coen Brothers movie. Like, just the comical idiocy of these people to think that this would have ever worked.
And listen, I expect these kind of shenanigans from Charles because he seems dumb.
Yeah.
Diana and Tequin are supposed to be smart.
Tequin's just like, no, don't choose that one.
Paris.
There you go.
I don't think it's Athens. I'm sure it's not Rome. I'd have thought it's Berlin, but there's a chance it's Paris. I'm not sure.
Here's the thing.
He literally said, think.
Think.
Fucking Winnie the Pooh's up here.
Oh, think. If you have
the spoon.
Here's the thing: if you have no idea what it is, how could you even rule out Rome? Like he's like, I think it's Berlin because the name's Hausmann's, which kind of sounds German. Which, having watched a fair amount of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, whenever you get to this level, whatever one seems like it would be, like it seems like, oh, I think there's a clue. They're throwing you off the scent. So I feel like I could eliminate Berlin because it's like they're trying to trick me. But how could you just eliminate Rome when you seemingly don't know anything? It's not even like he's talking like, yeah, I studied this in college a little bit. I'm trying to remember. He's just like, think. It's not Rome. It's definitely not Rome. It might be Berlin. No.
It can't be stressed enough how fucking stupid this is. It's like it's from a fucking movie. It's from like a small town, idiot crime movie where he's literally up there just like Mr. Magooing it through every single. It'd be one thing if it was like one or two of like, I don't know. It could be Paris, but maybe it's Rome, but maybe it's Germany, or Berlin, but maybe it's this. But like he does this for every single question, and he's just like, think. Oh, come on, Charlie, come on, think about it. Come on, you idiot, come on, think.
He's trying to have a Jimmy Neutron brain blast of like, it's Paris, but like that's not how facts work.
And he does it for every single question. It's so stupid. Like, there's no way that they already aren't just like, yeah, like, we're all British, so we're a little bit too polite, but like, so we're not going to stop the show, but like...
There was a PA something...
This guy's fucking cheating.
There was a PA, one of the editors or like camera guys was like, someone's fucking coughing too much in here.
I think I've read this. I think it's Berlin.
You know what? Fuck it. Paris. Final answer.
You joke, but...
Could be Paris.
Watch.
You don't have to play this question. You've got to check for $250,000. I know it's tempting. You don't have to play it. If you give me the right answer, it's worth £500,000. And you stand to lose $218,000.
And the host is just so annoyed. He's just like, you take forever.
Take the check. You have £250,000. Go away. Take your money.
Every question is a minimum of 10 minutes of you just being like, oh, it could be A, but it could be B, but it could be C.
Listen, I have a check for £250 right here. No questions asked. We will not look into this episode at all.
This is out of pocket.
Get out of my sight.
This has nothing to do with the show. This is my money. Take it.
Yeah, I'm going to play.
Hang on, no, where are we?
Don't worry, I'm talking to myself as we go.
That's fine. Right. You've got £250,000.
Yeah.
You've got no lifelines.
Yeah.
If you give me a wrong answer, you still get 32,000. That's guaranteed. Whatever. If you give me a wrong answer here, you've got 218,000 lost. You
His
lose
wife is just
180,000.
disassociating right now at this point.
Give me a right answer, it's worth $500,000. You don't have to play it.
Okay.
This is the question. Baron Haussmann is best known for his planning of which city? Rome, Paris, Berlin.
She's like, I knew I should have married
Athens. It's
Tequin.
worth £500,000.
Okay, it's either Berlin or Paris.
Now,
No.
all of a sudden.
Yeah,
Come on.
I'm going to play Paris.
You were convinced it was Berlin.
I know. I think I was wrong. I'm going to go for Paris.
Final answer.
Final answer.
You had £250,000. You did not need to play this question. You thought it was Berlin. You changed your mind to Paris. That brought you £500,000.
Yes! Can I just calm down?
Sit yourself down. Sit down, Major.
There's so many better
You're allowed
ways
to say the Major.
that
Sit down,
if they
Major.
were going to do this exact plan, there's so many better ways that they could have done it that weren't just like, because he's like, he sits there and he says like, I think it's Berlin. So like, it's very suspicious that he spent like, the first half of this question saying that he thinks it's Berlin and coming up with all these reasons why he thinks it, and then just changing his answer at the last minute to a different thing after saying multiple times that he thought it was Berlin, which is just like, it's just immediately suspicious. It's like, what do you mean? Like you just said that you mentioned multiple times that you thought it was Berlin. What made you change your mind to Paris all of a sudden? And you didn't like walk us through the logic of why you changed your mind. Like there's so many better ways that they could have done this system of like saying the answer and then the coughing or whatever. But this is just like the dumbest way they could have done it.
Yeah, he's not an actor. He doesn't know anything. He plays his hand too fast, I think. He has that association of like Haussmann is German sounding, it must be Berlin. And so he kind of leans into that but doesn't get the coughing, or he gets the cough and then the guy being no. And so he does the thing where he goes through, well, it could be Athens or Rome or Paris. Okay, you know what? I'm feeling Paris now. Like, I don't. He needed to be like, Haussmann sounds German, so I think Berlin, but that might be like intentionally trying to throw me off. It could be Paris. Like at least like delegate more to himself before immediately being like, I think it's Berlin.
Yeah, or just like
He's too cocky at this point because he's like, I know it. I know this now. I, Charles Ingram, who hasn't known anything up until this point, know it's Berlin on the 500,000 question.
Yeah, he thought he had like the real answer for a second. And turned out, nope, you're still a fucking idiot. Despite the fact that Charles was hung up on Berlin, he didn't ultimately pick it. This became a common quote-unquote strategy for Charles Ingram that came up repeatedly during the ensuing trial. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Charles' luck continued all the way to the £1 million question, where he's asked, a number 1 followed by 100 zeros is known by what name? He didn't know that! Again, Charles doesn't seem to have a clue, but he says each answer out loud individually. But it's only when he says Google that a cough is heard. Charles himself admits that he has no idea what a Google is, but he knows what the other answers are and assumes it must be Google. Am I wrong, or is that like a very easy answer that everybody knows?
For like the million, yeah.
I mean, maybe in the early 2000s it wasn't as well known, but like I feel like that's just like a thing that everybody knows because that's the whole concept of Google. The reason why the company is called Google, or originally was called Google, is because of the sort of the gimmick of the search results. It's like G, and then every page of the search results is an O, and there's 100 O's. And so there's 100 search results, or 100 pages of search results.
Was Google a thing in 2001? I mean, I know it was a thing, but like, I guess common.
Yeah, Google has existed since the late 90s.
Okay. My household didn't get internet until a little later.
Until 2017.
Yeah, I had no idea. I was honestly bliss.
Yeah. It's pretty weird. Whenever I met you, I was just like, yeah, I was like checking my MySpace earlier, and you were just like, what?
MySpace? You mean your room?
Yeah. It was like one of those things in like a movie or something like that, whenever there's like a time traveler and there's all those like funny like things of like, MySpace? You mean your room? Facebook? You mean there's a book with faces that have been skinned off? That was the first 3 years of our friendship.
Yeah.
To be clear, Charles didn't have to answer at all, and he could have walked away with £500,000. Surely anyone uncertain in this scenario would have taken the money in the bank rather than risk it all on a total guess. But Charles locks in on Google and meets his destiny.
Welcome back to the third nail-biting part of tonight's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Major Charles Ingram came on tonight with just £4,000.
So
we have one lifeline left.
I'm even more sure that this is a surprisingly easy answer for the $1 million question. Not only is the fact that a 1 followed by 100 zeros being called a Google is just a very easy, common thing that I know just like immediately off the top of my head, but also the other answers are megatron, gigabit, and nanomole, which megatron is definitely not it. Gigabit is not it. I know what a gigabit is. It's not this. The only one that could possibly be this, if I didn't already know that it was Google, is nanomole. So at the very least, it would be between those two. Like the other two are immediately written off. Once again, going back to it, it's just Google. That's a very easy piece of trivia.
What if Charles doesn't know anything? He does the coughing thing throughout this. But very last question, he's just like, Google, I know this one. I actually know that. Oh. It is Google.
Up to £500,000. He got this question. A number 1 followed by 100 zeros is known by what name? Google, Megatron, Gigabit, Nanomole. He initially went for Nanomole.
I'm surprised he didn't go for Megatron.
He then went through his various options again.
It might be Megatron.
$468,000.
Yeah, if he did that, he's like, it could be Megatron. I would just beat him to death. If I was the host, I'd be like, nope, and then just get up and just beat him to death.
I don't know what's going on here, but I need to murder you.
I don't know what's happening here. I can't prove it. We'll figure it out later, but there's no time. I'm gonna fucking kill you. Shoot questions, or shoot first, ask questions later. You're gonna die now. Sorry.
You think a 1 followed by 100 zeros is a fucking Decepticon?
And he'd heard of the other 3. Charles, give me that check. £500,000. You no longer have that. You just won $1 million! $1 million! You are the most amazing...
You just won £1 million, which, to put it in perspective for Americans, is more like $130 million. So it's even more!
Oh, shit!
Diana, come on down. Come on, my darling, come on.
I have to say, his wife doesn't look that.
No. His wife looks like we've gone too far.
We're going to fucking jail.
We're fucked. Like, she just leaned into it. She just went through with it, because it's the point of no return. Once you start doing it, you can't, like, what is she going to do? She has to just, you get to a point where it's like, I either just, like, get up and admit that I'm cheating, or I'm committed to this. So she's gone through the whole thing and she's done it, but in her mind, she's like, we're fucked.
She has that 100-yard
this
stare right
is bad. They know we cheated. There's no way we're getting away with this.
Yeah, she is not acting like a spouse whose husband won £1 million. Where they'd be like, yeah, fucking run down.
We are fucked.
Fantastic.
She's looking to me like one time whenever I was younger, when I was like maybe 12, I think. For a while, my aunt and my cousins lived with us. And my older cousin Joey shared a room with me, and he was a bit of a troublemaker, and he got up to some scandals and hijinks that myself, a much more demure and antisocial and sort of meek boy, did not get up to. My grandma would buy me these gummy rats that were like gummies shaped in the shape of rats, and I couldn't bring myself to eat them, and so I kept them in my drawer and called them my pets, because I just couldn't bring myself to eat them because they were too anthropomorphized to me. But my cousin was a little bit of a troublemaker, and he would keep some troublesome paraphernalia inside of the box spring of my bed. And so they moved out at some point, and then we moved to a different place, an apartment. And I remember one night, all of our stuff's in, we haven't fully moved in, and my mom is going somewhere, and so our babysitter is coming over, and she's going to watch us for the evening. And so my babysitter comes over, and she's standing there talking to me in my room, and I'm like moving my bed around because literally just all the stuff is just in my room, and my bed hasn't been set up yet. And so I moved my box spring over, and a condom falls out of my box spring, which is not mine. Like, I wish it was mine. I didn't need to use a condom until I was a junior in high school. Like, I wish it was mine, but it was not.
The babysitter was like, is this his move?
Yeah.
Be like,
not
condom.
Not even a junior. I was doing second base stuff. I didn't need to use a condom until I was a senior. So this falls out. As an adult, I would just be like, I would explain the situation and be like, that's not mine, my cousin or whatever. But at the time, I was just like, fuck. And so she's sitting there talking to me. This falls out right in front of us. There's no way she didn't see it. But I just like subtly put my foot on it. And I'm standing there and I'm like going through the motions of continuing to have this conversation. You know how you sometimes you see people, either yourself sometimes or other people, where like something happens and you're in the middle of a conversation and then you become so distracted that like you start to like lose your train of thought and you're trying to keep up the conversation, but like you're just like not, your heart's not anymore because you're just like consumed with worry about something. So I'm sitting there, I'm trying to continue this conversation with my babysitter while I have my foot on this condom. And I'm just like, yeah, totally, 100%. In my mind, I'm like, maybe she didn't see it. This is the look that this girl has on her face as she's walking down. She comes down from the bleachers or the seats or whatever. That's the look she has on her face. They're crying, but not out of happiness. They're crying because they know they're going to prison forever. After Charles wins, his wife Diana notably doesn't look happy at all. And the microphone could also pick up her telling Charles, no one is ever going to believe it. You are mad. Suspicions soon arose that something was amiss. Researcher Eve Winstanley went to congratulate the couple in their dressing room, but despite winning £1 million, they didn't seem in a mood to celebrate.
They didn't seem happy or anything else, really. Mrs. Ingram seemed a little bit agitated, and Mr. Ingram seemed a little bit tense.
Charles told Winstanley to leave their room, and after doing so, she heard them arguing. Chris Tarrant would later corroborate this argument to the Daily Mail.
I went back towards the Ingrams' dressing room to congratulate them, but I was stopped in my tracks by Eve, a lovely girl on our research team who was sobbing. What's wrong, Eve? I asked. It's been the most amazing night. No, she said. The Major has just told me very forcibly to get out of his dressing room and F off. I went to see them with a big bottle of champagne, but they were having this massive row.
Immediately, producers believed something was wrong. They searched his clothes, hair, and shoes, but found nothing. Still, Charles was told that his £1 million payout would be withheld, as was standard practice with checks of that size. So here's the thing. So we're talking this whole thing about how obvious this is, and they're totally fucked, and all this stuff like that. But apparently, nobody realized.
He was going with champagne. Like, he was ready to be like, hell yeah, brother.
Apparently, everybody was fooled, and nobody noticed the coughing and the guy going, no, don't choose that one. It's not Megatron. Nobody noticed that, and they all thought it was fine, and yet they still fucked themselves over. They're the ones that blew up their own spot because they were so paranoid that they were going to get found out, that they were like in a fight or flight response, and they were in an argument, and then people were coming in and they were like, get the fuck out of here. They were the ones that still ruined it for themselves. They got away with it and they still ruined it.
If you're upset that your cheating scandal has seemingly gone off without a hitch, but you're just like, oh fuck, they're gonna catch us. We're found out. Save that argument for the car ride home. Don't do it when you're still on the premises. Like, if you're stealing from a house, like...
Be cool, honey bunny. Be cool.
You gotta air out all your arguments, like, later. Don't do it when you're still in the house, like, taking stuff. You just focus on the moment. Like, okay, we did it. Just drink some champagne, hang out with Tarrant, or whatever his name is, and then let's get the fuck out of here.
But they've fucked themselves over. After how stupid this plan was and how very obvious it was in retrospect that they were cheating, they still got away with it.
And apparently checked for pagers. They like checked his person to make sure he didn't have stuff.
All right,
someone was definitely like,
open your butthole.
Check for pagers. We got to make sure this guy didn't cheat. And it was like, oh, I guess he didn't have anything, so I guess it's cool. But then, I mean,
whip out that butthole.
Let me see them cheeks.
Almost serendipitously, Tequin Whittock is chosen to be the next player after the Ingrams go off stage. Despite him helping Charles, he didn't do all that well all by himself and got eliminated on the £4,000 question. But there remained the sense that something still wasn't quite right. So some editors stayed behind well into the night to go over the tapes. At nearly 2 the following morning...
September 11th, mind you. We're now at 9/11.
This has happened. This is 9/11, and they're just like, we'll
do this all day if we have to.
They call up Tehran. They're like, something awful's happened, and he's like, I know. They're like, you know? Yes. It's all over the news. What? It's all over the news. They play like a Who's on First routine. The researchers they've been up all night in the studio, so they just haven't seen the news yet.
Oh my God, the newspapers are going to explode after this.
Whoa, too soon.
What? It's a turn of phrase.
This is going to bring everybody down, crashing to the ground. Whoa! At nearly 2 the following morning, an editor noticed early in the episode there was a cough. The team, exhausted, hadn't noticed it initially, but once they could isolate it, it became impossible to ignore. They went through the entire episode, and surely enough, there were coughs throughout the entire program, with Charles reading all the possible answers out loud, with a cough corresponding to the correct answer. The most notable came from Tequin Whittock, but his wife was actually on camera coughing at one point. Due to suspicions surrounding Charles's win, his episodes were actually never broadcast, with the only footage being available for archival sources. The jig was up, and Charles Ingram might have a claim for the quickest turnaround from millionaire to criminal ever. Well, Mike, how you feeling about our boy Charles Ingram at this most crucial juncture in his inevitable downward spiral?
It's the dumbest thing that I don't know can be overstated how poorly... Like, they messed up at every turn. The cough is way too noticeable. The person just saying no was, like, very apparent. They don't know how to act, so, like, when he wins, they don't pretend to be happy. Like, his wife is just like, get the fuck off the stage, we gotta, like, argue in the dressing room. And then they go in the dressing room, and the guy's like, hey, who wants champagne? And they're like, get the fuck out of here. They messed up everything.
It's a Coen Brothers movie.
I would love to see this. It's the anti-Slumdog Millionaire, like, but I think that would make an amazing movie, kind of.
Yeah. Remember when we used to play Fiasco?
Yeah.
Like, Fiasco is basically Dungeons and Dragons for, like, movies. So you basically, like, it's a game where you act out and improvise a feature film. You create scenes, and then there's players that, like, do a scene together, and then there's, like, a goal of the scene, and so you're just improvising a story, and you're working towards a goal, and you're trying to get the goal in that scene, and then, like, you get points based on, like, whether you accomplish the goal in the scene. And over the course of this whole game, you tell this whole story, and it's supposed to be like a movie, basically. Like I said, it's D&D, but it's like
for Coen, to make your own Coen.
To make your own Coen Brothers movie, and basically, like, the aesthetic or the vibe of Fiasco is you're telling a small town crime story. And, like, this is one of the Fiasco games we would have played.
Yeah. And the thing about Fiasco is that someone is in charge of deciding whether a particular scene, the main character is successful in whatever they want, or they fail, in which case everything blows up in their face and you just deal with it in the next scene. Yeah. And for Charles Ingram, he was getting those success tokens, like, throughout the game. He should not have gotten that far, but someone was just like, keep it going, baby.
Yeah.
And then
you fooled everybody.
We're at the halfway point, and you've run out of success tokens, and now just every move you make is a failure.
Yeah. This is 100% one of these games we would have played. Snack Daddy, no! Remember Snack Daddy?
We were playing a Western game. What was that? I was Steve, and then he had a twin brother named Crazy Steve.
Yeah.
And it turns out they were triplets, so there was Crazy Steven.
I forgot about that. Yeah, there was different modules like D&D, and one of them was like a modern day small town in the South, and then one of them was a Western, like a Western town
one of those like old towns.
Yeah, in the late 1800s. And then one of them was like a research lab in the middle of Antarctica. And we tried to do the research lab one, and we just, like, couldn't do it because we didn't know anything about, like, science stuff. Like, we just didn't know how to do the scenes. We were like, I don't know, like, they're looking at beakers. I don't know. But yeah, we did the Western one, and I forgot about the Crazy Steve thing. But in one of the games we played, there was a character named Snack Daddy.
I remember Snack Daddy.
And at one point, this character Snack Daddy died, because you could die in the game, and then you would just Basically, the rules of it were if your character died, you then became a new character that was introduced into the story. So like at one point there was a character named Snack Daddy and he died. And there was a scene where he dies and one of the characters goes, "Snack Daddy, no!" We've just quoted that for years. But yeah, this is definitely a game of fiasco. But speaking of fiascos, do you have anything that you want to plug?
Yes. If you want to follow more of my content, you can follow me on TikTok at Cinema Singularity, where I post movie reviews, film analysis, and my general thoughts about what's going on in the entertainment industry. You can follow me on Instagram at Mike Bedard, see pictures of my dog. She's very adorable. And if you live in the Los Angeles area, you can
Just come to his house. His address is...
No!
Just show up.
Just show up and hang, yeah. But if you live in LA and want to see some sketch comedy, my team Crop Top performs at the Pack Theater the second Wednesday of every month.
I didn't even know that. You don't tell me shit.
Come on by. You knew I was on a team.
No. I tune out anybody's references to improv teams that they're on.
This is a sketch team. I don't deal in the devil's...
You don't partake of the devil's candy.
I was trying to think of another term for improv.
I don't deal in the devil's game of pretend.
Is there anything you want to plug?
Yes. What I was going to say is, when you were talking about your TikTok channels, I was going to say that the other day I saw a video of you with stitches drawn all on your face with like makeup and like you're wearing like a cloak or something like that.
Cloak, yeah.
And you're like on the ground and you're just like screaming. You're doing a bit where Frankenstein's monster is dying and he's like, "Before I die, I just want to say that it's okay to call me Frankenstein. You don't have to call me Frankenstein's monster. Really, my name would be Frankenstein because I'm supposed to be Dr. Frankenstein's son. So like usually sons have the same last name as their dad." They're doing this whole bit. But you're just like in this ridiculous costume. And I'm like, somebody's trying to hit that video quota. But yeah, you can also follow me on TikTok at Treehouse Detective, where I make basically short form, highly researched fact and trivia videos about interesting stories from pop culture. It's basically like a mini Deep Cuts. I do mini versions of the types of things that we do for Deep Cuts at Treehouse Detective on TikTok. You can follow us on social media by going to Facebook and searching Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Facebook group by searching the Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group. We have a cool little community there that talks about the show, makes memes, other stuff. You can also join our Discord server, bit.ly.com/deepcutsdiscord. It's another cool community that talks about the show, makes memes, talks about other things. There's a bunch of different channels in there. We play games. It's just a much more detailed and much more kind of like deep community of like-minded listeners of the show that just kind of hang out. You can follow us on Instagram at DeepCutsPod. You can follow us on TikTok at Mystery Treehouse. And you can go to our shop, deepcutspod.com. Click on the shop. We got some merch there, t-shirts, hats, coffee mugs, fanny packs, baby onesies with cool Deep Cuts graphics on them. You can also get a Deep Cuts Junior Sleuth shoulder patch that was designed by Dave Baker himself. And speaking of Dave, I'll just mention this every episode just in case somebody's tuning in for the first time and you're like, what the fuck? They've changed hosts. Dave is currently on a hiatus. He will be back soon. He had to take a leave from the show for, personal reasons. And so, rather than shut the show down for an extended period of time, we decided to basically just do guest host situation until he can come back. So for now, we're hanging out with Mike. Dave will be back. But for now, we got old Dirty Bedard on the show, who's a writer of the show. So you've been listening, so you're familiar with the show, and you also have written many of our, good episodes. So, it's not a big leap to have you come on the show and co-host.
Yes, unlike Charles Ingram, I know a ridiculous amount of trivia.
Yes.
I know too many things.
But
too many useless.
You're not enough of a bitch to get on Weakest Link.
I tried. They fucking Weakest Link. Hook a brother up. Like I know my stuff. Jane Lynch can call me whatever. I mean, I think it's on like Fox or NBC or something. Like she could call me whatever the dirtiest word is. That is allowed on NBC.
Cut to the episode of Weakest Link. Jane Lynch is like, "All right, you dirty little piece of shit. Who put out the hit album Don't Do It in 2007 in the UK? Was it A, A1 or B, Craig David?" And then I'm in the audience and I'm like,
A1.
Well, back to the show. Act 2. Cough up the evidence. The evidence from Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was swiftly handed over to the authorities, and Charles Ingram, Diana Ingram, and Tequin Whittick were charged with procuring the execution of a valuable security by deception. Here's Charles Ingram and Diana Ingram going to court after being caught. Charles Ingram looks like the cat who ate the canary, but the canary was poison and gave him a tummy ache. And Diana Ingram looks like my mother was right.
My mother told me that man doesn't know any trivia, and I was like, you're wrong, Mom. He knows military stuff, I think. And he didn't even really know that. I should have married Tequin.
Yep, should have. It's fascinating to me, though, because, like, I don't disagree with it. I think you should. But it's funny that you can get in legal trouble for cheating at a made-up game show. Like, obviously, there's real money involved, so there's, you know, an aspect of fraud to it. But it's just really funny that somebody can be like, hey, you know what? We should, like, make, like, a little game. And people come on and they answer questions. And then they do that. And then if you cheat, you can go to prison. That's, like, very funny to me.
Yeah, I guess it's just breaking contract. I assume you have to sign a ton of paperwork to get on any of these shows. And they say don't cheat. And they cheated. So it's like, I wrote this so long ago. They're not getting sued by, like, the network, by ITV or whatever. So are they just in legal trouble?
I mean, we might see, but I'm assuming that at minimum they would also be sued by the
Probably
company. But they're
sued.
also, like, I'm pretty sure that if you go on a game show and you, like, win $1 million through deceit, like, that's fraud.
Yeah.
And that's like illegal.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, attempted fraud, I guess. Not very good attempted fraud. that was their argument during the trial. I was just like, listen,
watch the footage. We're fucking idiots. Like, this is not fraud. This is a bunch of dumbasses trying some shit. That was their main, like, we were just trying some shit, okay? You can't fault us for trying some shit.
Honestly, shame on ITV for, like, not catching on immediately. It's like, I think someone's coughing when he says the right answer.
Oh, they pull the defense that one guy did. The fuck is that guy's name? The guy who went to prison and he raised the price of insulin to $700 or something. Martin Scarelli. He pulled that defense where he was like, listen, I'm just, like, trying to bring attention to a flaw in the system. Like, it's not my fault that the government lets people just, like, raise the price of medication to people by, like, 1,300%. Like, I'm just doing what I'm allowed to do. It's not my fault.
ITV should be sued for not having anti-coughing measures.
We were just pen testers. We were just going in and showing the vulnerabilities in the process.
We were just being silly little guys coughing.
Yeah. We were just being silly little guys. You can't go to prison for being a silly little guy. You tell me that going makes you go to prison? The trio's trial began in March of 2002. The first piece of evidence alleged that the Ingrams tried another attempt to cheat on Charles' first day on Millionaire. The court obtained phone records from Diana's brother Marcus and found that he was contacting 4 separate pagers, with it being believed that Charles had the 4 taped to various places on his body to correspond to the correct answer. So you got in that trial that you got a guy on there with that big white wig or whatever, just being like, come on, be honest. It was in your butt, right?
One of them was in your butt.
You had one of them in your butthole, right?
C was in your butt. Wait. I have a better joke.
Rewind it.
You had that D in your butt, though, right?
Yep. Cut it, print it, replace it, drop that thing down, flip it, and reverse it. We got the joke. We got it. Diana would later claim that the pagers were used to stay in touch with her brother who went off the grid to avoid being held accountable to banks he owed debts to.
This family has so many problems.
What a weird excuse. They're like, listen, no. The multiple burner pagers were not to cheat on this episode of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. They were because my brother, he's a criminal. But, like, not like now. Like, in this, he's not a criminal. We're not criminals. Yeah. No, but he's a criminal. For a completely unrelated reason, he's a criminal. And he needed a bunch of burner pagers because he's off the grid. They're like, what are you? Just say no. Just say you didn't. Like, there's an easier lie you can tell right now.
I guess they have phone records, but there was 100 better excuses than that.
Your lie could have been just like, nuh-uh.
Prove it.
You didn't have to come up with, my brother is an off-the-grid doomsday prepper who's escaping from the mob. Phone records also show that Diana had contacted Tequin Whittick for 5 minutes, with it being assumed this was when they hatched their plan. However, Diana insisted that she just called Tequin to wish him luck since the two were friendly, as she, Tequin, and her brother Adrian knew each other from being on the game show circuits. What is up with, like, the insular nature of this Who Wants to Be a Millionaire show? Like, that's the real scandal that we need to investigate. Why does everybody on this show know each other?
Because you really should. Because her and her brother Adrian were
Hashtag Millionaire so white. Like, why? Like, get some fresh blood in this bitch.
Yeah, fucking Tequin is a white ass name. But how do they know? Because is Tequin just show up? Is he always on the sideline? Because it seems like he's on the sideline in case he goes in, which he did right after Charles.
He's like the Rainbow Man of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. He just like comes to every taping, and he's like a staple.
They have these Eyes Wide Shut parties, but it's just for people who are really into Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Yep, it's like those secret parties in The Boys that they infiltrate, and they have the secret superhero parties where the politicians go, and they're just getting like jerked off by like tiny little mini superheroes and shit that go into their urethras or whatever. It's that, but it's just Who Wants to Be a Millionaire fans.
They're all just like sucking and fucking and being like, oh yeah, tell me who had a hit album in 2000 called Born to Die, and it's A1.
It's time to phone a friend. Ugh. The court also got testimony from Larry Whitehurst, who was in the fastest finger first section with Tequin. He claimed noticing Tequin coughing whenever Charles said the correct answer. He also pointed out that Tequin would subtly talk with another FFF contestant when he didn't know an answer. So he was like asking.
So I guess he was
phoning a friend.
He was just like, hey man, what's the answer to this one?
Just out of curiosity. Just
out of curiosity.
just for S's and G's. Yeah. What's the answer to this question? It's B. I'm pretty sure it's B.
This one's Berlin, right? What? No, you idiot. It's Paris. Oh, God. No. No.
Tequin had a different explanation for why he was coughing so much. When he took the stand, he insisted that he had a persistent cough since childhood, which was backed up by some of his longtime friends. His doctor even confirmed that he had a lifelong cough and suffered from asthma and hay fever. Tequin's defense was basically that he would have been of no use coughing to help Charles because he was prone to cough at any moment. There's also the matter that he lost his Millionaire game very quickly, so he wouldn't necessarily be a trivia mastermind to automatically know the correct answer for all of Charles's questions.
Listen. I fucking suck.
Listen, I couldn't have possibly helped them cheat because I'm dumb.
I'm just a dumb little guy. I wouldn't be able to help them.
I'm just a dumb little guy. I ain't got no good stuff in the brain. I couldn't have been part of this scheme. When Charles himself took the stand, he insisted that he didn't cheat and that he was too focused on the heat of the moment to notice any coughing or anything else from the crowd while he was playing. To describe his behavior or going back and forth between answers, he said he wanted to make the show more entertaining. And reports indicate that Charles wore a Mensa pin while on trial, allegedly to make the jury think that if he was smart enough to join Mensa, then he could easily win on Millionaire. So he had the opposite strategy.
Tequin was like, I'm a dumb little guy. Charles was like, I'm just a smart little guy. I would know these things.
He's like, listen, I'm fucking Dr. Manhattan. I'm so smart that you don't even understand what I did. You can't even fathom the strategy that I had. I was just trying to make my show the most entertaining, because in real life, if I was just using 100% of my intellect and just, being straightforward, the show would have ended in 10 minutes. I would have been like, A, B, C, 5, 4, 2, 6. I would have answered the question before they were even asked. I was just trying to make it entertaining for the simpletons out there that need a little bit of a monkey show. And also, look what I'm wearing.
I fucking love Coronation Street. I could have gotten that.
Do you wear this if you're a fucking moron who doesn't know anything? You can't just buy this on eBay last night in a panicked rush, ordering the highest shipping cost for next day delivery.
Let the record show that Mensa is spelled wrong on his pin.
You can't rush order a Mensa pin off of eBay, paying for the highest shipping, and then it still doesn't arrive the next morning, so you frantically make one out of tape.
This is a genuine Pensa pin.
The show also submitted the audio files from Charles' episode, indicating that 192 coughs were picked up from the show's microphones, and of those 192, 19 of them were labeled significant and coming from the direction where Tequin was sitting. It was then pointed out that these 19 coughs coincided when Charles said the correct answer out loud, and that at one point you can hear someone say no when Charles says the wrong answer. However, the defense argued the opposition had enhanced this audio to make the coughs more noticeable. In the clips we played earlier, you're hearing those enhanced files, so when the episode initially aired, folks watching at home probably wouldn't have noticed anything, and neither would anyone in the attendance more than likely. What's interesting is that during the deliberation, all the talk of coughing had a psychosomatic effect on many individuals in the courtroom. Many people were prone to coughing fits, which could have lended credence to the idea that Tequin perhaps subconsciously coughed upon hearing the right answer, especially if he was prone to coughing due to health reasons. There's an episode of Frasier about this, where Frasier's son is in a spelling bee competition, and he wins the competition, and it's like this big championship, and he wins a bunch of money, and just also it's like really prestigious. And then they review the tape and they see that Fraser was subconsciously mouthing the spelling to him from the audience, but he didn't do it on purpose, and he loses the championship.
They got it from Tequan.
I mean, it was from a later season, so it could have happened after this. Nonetheless, the jury found Charles Ingram and Tequan Wittek guilty. Interestingly, they didn't find Diana guilty, which the judge didn't find acceptable since her and Charles were co-defendants, meaning the case relied on Diana's actions influencing Charles and Tequan. The jury came back and found Diana guilty as well later. At first, they were like, this woman's been through enough. She's married to the dumbest guy on earth. Like, that's the punishment she needs. Let's just let her go.
And the judge was like, no, she did stuff. Did you see that fake-ass cough?
If anything, she should go to jail for bad acting. Such a conviction could have led to jail time, but the judge offered leniency since it would have left their 3 daughters, 2 of whom had special needs, without parents. Therefore, the judge gave the couple 18 months of a suspended sentence and fined $25,000. Tequan Wittek was sentenced to 12 months of a suspended sentence with accompanying fines. The Ingrams were later able to reduce their fines to only £5,000, citing how they were bankrupt and deep in debt. And this might just answer the question at the center of all this. Why did they do it? Sure, it's nice to have £1 million, but game shows are all for fun, and there would have been no harm in Charles walking away with £8,000 or so. But there's a speculation that the Ingrams wanted to cheat in order to pay off all their debts. It's believed that Charles was supposed to stop after winning £64,000, which would have cleared their debts without raising too much suspicion. It's possible that this is what their green room argument was about. I mean, that's absolutely what it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he
100%.
was supposed to stop, and then he got too big for his britches and was like, no, I'm going all the way. And his wife is like, fuck. We're so screwed.
Diana talked to Tequan about this plan. And then Charles like, hey, Tequan, come on. Let's talk about this privately. Let's go all the way.
Tequan, come here. Psst. Don't let Diana hear. Let's go all the way.
Tequan, your name sounds like a bionicle.
It's like, that's not related to any. It's just a little thing I noticed. But let's go all the way.
Absolutely, if he left after £64,000, the host would be like, Jesus Christ, thank God. Air the episode. I'm done with that guy.
Yeah, it's like, I know they're cheating, but I never want to hear about these people again. Just give them the money. And while we'll never know for sure, especially since the Ingrams maintain their innocence, it's possible Charles wanted to go for the gold. £64,000 isn't cool. You know what is cool? £1 million. But Charles' legal troubles weren't over yet. In August of 2001, just a month before his Millionaire appearance, he applied for an insurance payout for some stolen possessions. This followed a string of other alleged burglaries that Charles tried to get insurance to pay on with different insurance agencies throughout the 1990s. After Charles got on Millionaire, his insurance agency took a harsher look at his history and found that he never disclosed his previous insurance payouts when signing up with them. Charles was ultimately found guilty in 2003 on 2 counts of deception for insurance fraud. While Charles had become known as the coughing major through the Millionaire debacle, he couldn't even claim to be a major anymore. 2003 also saw the British Army ask Charles to resign from his commission as major, which Charles agreed to after a 17-year service. Charles said in a statement,
I very much regret that the pressures associated with recent events have made it impossible for me to complete my full term of military service as I had hitherto envisaged.
The judge in the Millionaire case later claimed that he didn't see a need to send Charles and Diana to jail because their reputations being tarnished was punishment enough. And he was kind of right. According to reports, the couple couldn't go to restaurants without other patrons coughing at them, and their kids were reportedly bullied at schools. Okay, I don't like the bullying the kids thing. It's not their fault, and that's really fucked up. But going to restaurants and people coughing is fucking hilarious. That's so funny.
I can't imagine being that much of a pariah where I couldn't go to a restaurant without people like paying reference to my greatest shame.
Yeah, it's so funny because it's like not actually that big of a deal.
They were caught. They didn't get the money.
They cheated on a game show. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And so it's really funny to me how like juvenile the
Brits were.
Yeah, it's so funny to me how juvenile like the backlash was, where he was called the coughing major, and then people would just cough when they would go to restaurants. Like, that's so funny. It's so funny that it was like this kind of goofy thing that they did, and they got like the equivalent of like bullying in like an 80s movie.
Everyone in Britain was just like, listen, it's been a rough couple of years. 9/11, war on terror. let us just fucking bully this one couple who didn't do anything that bad. They were caught. They had on house arrest or whatever.
Listen, the Americans are currently going through the psychic trauma of coping with one of the first attacks on foreign soil that has ever happened in the history of their country, which they're just not psychologically prepared for because it's just a thing that they've come to expect, that they live on completely like safe ground that has never been attacked and never would be attacked. And so now they're like grieving for this idea of this utopia that they thought they lived in, and also coming to grips with the idea of like such a mass amount of deaths and what it means and the ramifications of it. Let us cough when these people come into a restaurant. This is our 9/11. We're not asking for a lot. Just let us have this as our 9/11. Not only that, European airline EasyJet began an advertising campaign involving billboards including a picture of Charles and Diana along with the following text.
Need a cheap getaway? No major fraud required. Lowest fares to the sun.
They just fucking roasted these people. The entire British culture roasted these people. They were like, we're not letting this go.
You done fucked up, Charles and Diana.
This is like when there's like a friend group that's been like friends since like elementary school, and like, you know, now they're in their 40s or whatever, and they're all hanging out, and there's maybe like the husband or wife or whatever that hasn't been hanging out for long enough, like they just started dating or whatever, girlfriend or boyfriend. Someone's like, oh, would you go get me a beer? And it's like, come back this time. And then everyone starts laughing, and she's like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, nothing. It's just one time whenever we were in college. He said he was going out for a beer, and then he was missing for a week, and it was because he fell off of a cliff and was, you know, stranded for a week. And this is that for them. They're just like, oh. Despite the Ingrams complaining, the Advertising Standards Authority rejected their complaints because the ads were consistent with their verdicts. They were like,
you were found guilty.
They were like, come on, this is like blatantly like an invasion of our privacy, and I'm assuming some kind of copyright infringement of like using our picture without permission. Like, come on. And they were like, nah, fuck you, bro. Fuck you, bro.
That was my first thought, like using their images. But I guess, like, I don't know, if they're public figures, maybe there's... But it is funny if the Advertising Standards Authority was just like, listen,
nah,
it's really funny.
Listen, it's hilarious. You got to admit.
All other companies don't just go around putting up random people's images without their consent, but like, we'll make an exception.
Yeah.
Here. This is great.
The whole country went out of its way to be like, let's fucking get their asses. The Ingrams were pariahs. Charles lost his military position, and British law prevents individuals from profiting off of any convicted crimes. So what are two disgraced adults to do to make a living in the early 2000s? Profit off reality TV, of course. Charles went on to appear on other game shows like The Games, 19 Keys, and The Weakest Link.
Because he's a bitch!
They're like, this is the biggest bitch of all. Get him on the show. They were like, all right, we got two final submissions for contestants. We have somebody named Mike Bedard or Charles Ingram.
I mean, we all know who the bitch is.
Mike Bedard is a bitch, but he doesn't hold a candle to the biggest bitch on the planet.
I mean, he a dumb bitch. He a guilty bitch.
He all the bitches. He every bitch. I'm every bitch. For the latter, host Ann Robinson gave him a tough time, even referring to him as the dashing young major with a throat infection, although it's worth stating Charles himself never coughed. That's like one of those misconceptions, like Luke, I am your father.
Yeah.
Or like the fact that the Jonestown cult drank the Kool-Aid, and that's like that's a literal saying that people say, but they actually drank Flavor Aid. It's like one of those things.
Yeah.
It's like technically, that's like the Frankenstein's monster thing.
Yeah.
Technically, I'm not the one that coughed.
Yeah, because they called him...
It was my wife. I mean, no, I mean, we didn't do anything wrong. We were totally innocent, and we didn't do anything.
And they called him the coughing major, but... He didn't
never coughed.
He didn't cough.
Never coughed.
That's the one thing he had.
That's how those Mandela effects get started.
Yeah.
Because somebody like you can't come up with a catchy nickname that's like the wife of the major who coughs or whatever. So you got to come up with a snappy thing. So like the coughing major, that snaps, but it's not technically correct. And then that creates a misconception, and then everyone's like, "Wait a minute, I thought it was him that coughed," and then they're like, "No, it's a Mandela effect."
I gotta say, at this point, Tequin is getting off pretty good. Like, he's not the one on a billboard.
Yeah, he's not on the billboard. He's not getting roasted on other game shows. Yeah, because he was just like his name was too like esoteric to remember. They're just like Tequin Whittick.
Everyone remembers the couple, and it's like, well, there was a third guy who was like doing most of the coughing, and it's like, well, yeah,
Yeah.
It gets messy.
That complicates the story. Let us do our thing.
You're the coughing major? Haha, fucking bitch.
Robinson also posed the question, in classical music, what C is the act of throat clearing which members of the audience are asked to try to avoid? With the answer obviously being coughing. They were going to town on these people. The Ingrams were also part of the British version of Wife Swap, with Charles getting paired with Jade Goody, a former Big Brother star. When asked about living with Charles, Jade said,
At first I didn't like him one bit. He was very irritating, very controlling, and he kept talking about how he did a lot round the house, but he never did anything to help me. After about 4 days, me and Charles had a big run-in, but that sort of cleared the air.
Listen, this guy's fucking annoying. I hate him. In the years since the Ingrams were convicted, there's been many reevaluations of their case, with some sources saying that they may have been innocent after all. In 2006, journalist John Ronson wrote a piece for The Guardian about a conversation he had with James Plaskett, a self-proclaimed quizzer, who won £250,000 on Millionaire and was part of many game shows. He had been in the Millionaire audience several times and confirmed that people in the crowd were prone to cough at any moment. And of course, John Ronson was the guy who wrote The Men Who Stare at Goats. Plaskett also threw into question that Diana and Tequin could have plotted their scheme with just a 5-minute phone call, with Plaskett also writing to Ronson,
People are known to cough on unconscious triggers. People with coughs and throat irritations may experience the need to cough as the correct answer to a question, one which they knew were read out. Nerves could account for it. Or perhaps Wittek, and or those close to him, did not know with certainty the answers to some questions, but had eliminated the least likely options until a mental decision had been made, and then involuntarily coughed as those were recited. Then it was not chance, neither was it cheating. One family member was not trying to help out another. Responsive coughing, that was all.
This guy just saw that episode of Frasier.
They did a Frasier thing.
They just did that. They did that Frasier thing. Frasier thing?
The Frasier defense?
That thing on that very minor episode of a later season of Frasier whenever people had kind of stopped watching. But doubt and hearsay will only get you so far. The Ingrams became laughingstocks, and as of 2024, they had mostly retreated from the public eye. Their last known whereabouts were a farmhouse annex in the English village of Maiden Bradley, living quiet lives away from the public sneers. Definitely the strangest butterfly effect to stem from Charles Ingram causing one of the biggest scandals in British TV history is that it somewhat led to the creation of future Oscar Best Picture winner Slumdog Millionaire, the film about an uneducated boy being accused of cheating in the Indian version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, after winning the grand prize even though he's completely in the clear. Slumdog Millionaire is based on the 2005 book Q&A, and author Vikas Swarup was quoted as saying,
If a British Army major can be accused of cheating, then an ignorant Tiffin boy from the world's biggest slum can definitely be accused of cheating.
Charles Ingram, his wife, and an accomplice probably most definitely cheated to win £1 million. Did they really need the money to pay off massive debts? Or were the Ingrams just millionaire fanatics who wanted to lay claim to being one of the lucky few to take home the £1 million prize? If there's one lesson to learn from all of this, it's that if you're going to cheat on a game show, just take a little bit of money. They probably won't review the footage afterwards. One thing I'll say, it's kind of admirable that they stayed together. If you were to ask me, if I didn't know the end of the story and you were asking me to guess like where this went, based on the footage of his wife in the audience and the way that she was looking at him and the photo of her in court or whatever, and the fact that her face is just like, my mother was right about this fucking idiot, I would have been like, yeah, they got divorced. Like, this thing tore them apart. They're no longer together. But they stuck it out. True love.
Do you think it was true love, or do you think everyone knows I'm the coughing major? I don't know if I could get anyone else to marry me, and vice versa for Diana.
Yeah, like we're stuck with each other because nobody's gonna ever date us again, and which I don't think would be true in the U.S. People who do really weird and awful things find love people like want to marry serial killers here. Like, we're fucked up.
Yeah.
But in England, it seems like they really held on to this. People were coughing at them in restaurants. They were getting billboards. Like, they were celebrities solely based on some stupid shit that they did. So, like, yeah, nobody's dating these people. They were stuck together.
Do you think that's also a product of this happening in the early 2000s where, like, maybe not a whole lot else was going on in England at the time? Like, if this happened today, if, like, someone was caught cheating on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like, do you think they could maybe more easily parlay that into being social media?
100%.
There's those reality stars
if somebody
Trump
got,
just pardoned.
Yeah, if somebody got caught cheating on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and, like,
they'd have
scammed,
a book deal the next
day.
They'd
have a book deal. They have a podcast. Jordan Belfort has like 3 million followers on TikTok, and he just makes like financial advice videos.
I don't think I want financial advice from him.
A lot of people do for some reason. A lot of young 23-year-old men who I guess just don't understand that this guy is a fucking criminal who like defrauded and ruined a lot of people's lives.
But yeah, I guess they messed up because this happened in the early 2000s in England when it needed to happen today in America. They'd be set for life. They'd get caught, they'd lose the money, they'd get the house arrest, but they'd be like, I'm starting a podcast with the Paul brothers.
Yeah,
they would
have come out. They would have partnered with Logan Paul to make Prime, not KSI.
Yeah,
it would have been them.
Just Logan Paul and Charles Ingram being like, oh, we have the new blue raspberry Prime, and it's very good. Or maybe this is the cherry Prime.
They're like bottoms up, and they take a drink, and they're like, The whole crowd just erupts in applause.
Yeah, they could have leaned into the coughing thing.
Yeah, they would be massive. Charles Ingram would be president of the United States right now, somehow, even though he's British.
Yeah, just the whole conspiracy being like, Charles Ingram was set up. Those coughs were put there by the deep state. And people were like, oh, like, did you know that coughing guy on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is a senator now?
100%. This is not a joke. 100%. Speaking of which, though, I mean, you wrote it and you kind of said the things that you said, but ultimately, do you think that they did it?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They had the doctor being like, well, he has asthma and hay fever, so he coughs all the time anyway. This is just completely my own speculation. I have no evidence of this. But Diana was like watching Tech One, like in the little fastest finger circle.
Like she got the idea
she saw him coughing.
He was coughing?
He was coughing inadvertently. And she was like, wait a minute. And just like, you know how like in musician biopics, like the band will just be like in a studio, like strumming, and then like one will like trip over a snare drum and be like,
and then go, and they'll be like, oh.
And it's like, well, another one bites the dust. Wait a minute. I feel like she had one of those epiphanies where she was like, fuck, we can't do the pagers now. My husband's dumb. He doesn't know any trivia. And then Techman's like in the corner coughing, like,
I can't stress this enough. He fucking doesn't know a single piece of trivia.
I don't think he knows my name, to be honest. But she sees this guy coughing and is like, if we kind of know, between the two of us know enough of the answers, maybe we can pull this off just to get to the 64,000.
I feel like it's a strong possibility that she got the idea from seeing him coughing. So actually the fact that he has a habitual cough is actually more indication that they did cheat and that she got the whole idea from that. Because these fucking idiots wouldn't have thought of that idea on their own. They had to have been a Maxwell Hauser situation.
Yeah, their first thought was taping pagers to him.
Yeah, stick a pager in your butt. That's how we're going to win $1 million.
It's like, hey, do you think that like if he wins, they might like, I don't know, do a strip search? Or I mean, he's got to go into a green room at some point where he'd like take off his clothes and, you know, someone could, nah, it's fine. It's fine. We'll just do that.
Yeah.
But then they find the coughing and they're like, this is the holy grail.
You know, it's cool. 4 pagers up your butt. You know, it's even cooler. Coughing.
Charles is just disappointed. You mean we're not putting the pagers up my butt?
Oh, that's the whole reason I was just here for the fun.
I don't know anything about trivia. I was looking forward to the pagers in the butt.
In fact, I was like getting the answers wrong on purpose. Like, I think it might be C. Ooh. With that being said, you have any final thoughts on the ballad of Charles and Diana Ingram and their Coen Brothers-esque follies?
Charles and Diana, if you're listening to this, don't pay attention to calling you dumb for the previous hour or so. But please do an interview because I'm just so curious to know what they're up to.
Come on the show. Come on Deep Cuts.
Come on the show.
Let's interview you. I mean, we've been calling you idiots for the last 2 hours or whatever.
We've called Charles a bitch on multiple occasions.
Called you a bitch.
So come on here and defend your honor.
But ultimately, like, I don't think, like, it's really not that big of a deal.
No.
That you cheated. Like, I don't feel like I'm like platforming as some awful person. Like, you cheated on a game show. I don't think it's like that big of a deal. It's just kind of goofy, really.
And they were like denying it, even though after they were found guilty. I think you could lean into it at this point. Just be like, yeah, we did it. So what?
Yeah,
we got caught.
Are the statute of limitations up?
Yeah.
Can they just admit that they did it now and be fine legally?
I'm sure they'd be fine. I mean, they're already sentenced, so I mean, I guess they've done their
no double
time.
jeopardy.
Yeah. They could say like some even wilder shit, like we cheated in ways you can't even comprehend.
Not only did we cheat, but also I fucked Chris Tarrant during the show. you didn't notice, but every time it cut away to Charles Ingram taking 15 minutes to answer the question, I was fucking Charles Tarrant or Chris Tarrant, whatever his name was, whatever that. It should be Regis, okay? It's Regis Philbin. He's the host of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, not whoever the fuck this guy is. Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely did it, and I don't think there's like a big philosophical takeaway from here. I think it's just kind of like a goofy thing. It's really just a very funny thing, and I just can't believe how goofy and how over the top bad the plan was, and also that they almost even still got away with it, and then they still just fucked it up for themselves by just like not being able to keep it cool until they left the building.
Yeah, I think the obvious moral is don't cheat. The more nuanced moral is if you're gonna cheat, play it cool until you're at home.
Yeah, don't cheat, ladies and gentlemen at home, but if you're gonna, just be cool.
Just put on a smile, go hug your husband, like just act normal as anyone would when winning £1 million.
Be a bitch, but don't be a dumb bitch.
Wiser words never spoken.
And on that note, I'm Andrew Price.
And I'm Mike Bedard.
And this has been Deep Cuts. Thank you for listening. If you want to find out more about the show, you can follow us on Facebook by going to Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Facebook group, the Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group, where we talk about the show, we make memes. You can join our Discord server, bit.ly.com/deepcutsdiscord, where we talk about the show, make memes, play games, and hang out. You can follow us on Instagram at Deep Cuts Pod. You can follow us on TikTok at Mystery Treehouse. You can go to our website, deepcutspod.com, click on the shop. You can buy hats and shirts and onesies and mugs with our graphics on them. And you can follow me on TikTok at Treehouse Detective. You can also check out my Substack, which is substack.upinthetreehouse.com.
And you can follow me on TikTok at Cinema Singularity on YouTube as well.
Deep Cuts is a production by Boy Genius Media. If you'd like to find this show and others like it, please visit boygeniusmedia.com or deepcutspod.com.
If you want to join in on post-episode discussions, please join the Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group. Finally, subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional video content.
This episode of Deep Cuts was written by Mike Bedard. The episode was edited by Louis Poggie. If you'd be interested in writing for Deep Cuts, email andrew@boygeniusmedia.com.